As of January 11, 2026, the Middle East has entered a highly sensitive and dangerous phase as Iran issued a clear and public warning to the United States and Israel. Iranian leadership stated that any American military strike against the Islamic Republic would immediately trigger retaliation across the region, signaling a sharp escalation in already strained geopolitical relations. The warning was delivered during a live broadcast by Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bakr Kalibaf. His remarks left little room for ambiguity, stating that if the United States attacks Iran, American military bases, naval ships, and what Iran refers to as occupied territory, meaning Israel, would all be considered legitimate military targets. Kalibaf described Iran's planned response as a fiery revenge plan, emphasizing that retaliation would not necessarily wait for an initial strike. He warned that Iran reserves the right to launch preemptive attacks if it detects what he called objective signs of an imminent threat to national security. The list of potential targets outlined by Iranian officials was unusually expansive. It explicitly included Israel, U.S. military installations spread across the Middle East, and major maritime centers and shipping routes. These statements immediately raised global concern due to the strategic importance of these locations. One of the most notable sites mentioned was the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the largest U.S. military base in the region. This base had already been targeted during the June 2025 conflict, reinforcing Iran's claim that its threats are grounded in past military actions rather than symbolic rhetoric. This external escalation is unfolding alongside a deep internal crisis inside Iran. Over the past 2 weeks, nationwide anti-government protests have resulted in the deaths of more than 192 people, according to reports. The scale of unrest represents one of the most severe domestic challenges faced by Iranian authorities. As protests spread, Iranian officials imposed a near-total internet blackout lasting more than 60 hours. The shutdown severely restricted communication, limiting independent reporting and isolating the country digitally, while security forces attempted to regain control over rapidly escalating demonstrations. U.S. President Donald Trump responded with unusually direct language. He warned Iran's leadership against using lethal force to suppress protesters, stating publicly that military options were being briefed. Trump cautioned that if Iran began shooting, the United States would respond with force. Trump's remarks linked Iran's internal unrest directly to potential foreign intervention. This connection intensified fears within Tehran that domestic instability could be used as justification for external military action, further heightening tensions between the two nations at a critical moment. Israel reacted swiftly by placing its military on high alert. Israeli defense officials expressed concern that Iran might attempt to divert attention from its internal crisis by initiating external attacks. Missile defense systems and regional readiness levels were reportedly increased in response. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei rejected the protest movement entirely, labeling demonstrators as vandals and saboteurs serving American interests. In a firm address, he dismissed calls for reform and accused foreign powers of attempting to weaken Iran through internal chaos. Khamenei went further by predicting that President Trump would eventually be overthrown, like past world tyrants. He vowed that Iran's leadership would not retreat under pressure, framing resistance as both a religious duty and a matter of national survival. The current crisis is closely tied to the June 2025 conflict, a brief but intense 12-day war. During that period, U.S. and Israeli forces carried out strikes on Iranian nuclear and missile facilities, marking one of the most direct confrontations in modern regional history. The psychological impact of that conflict remains visible across Iran. In recent days, banners have appeared in Tehran displaying maps of previously targeted sites alongside the phrase "it will happen again," signaling both defiance and readiness for renewed confrontation. For Washington, the situation presents a complex strategic dilemma. Military intervention risks igniting a wider regional war, while restraint could be interpreted as weakness. Iran's warnings suggest that any strike would rapidly expand beyond Iranian borders. Global markets are closely watching Iran's threats against maritime centers and shipping lanes. Even limited disruption in these critical routes could severely impact global energy supplies, raising oil prices and adding economic instability to an already tense geopolitical environment. Diplomatic options appear increasingly limited as public threats and military alerts harden positions on all sides. Live broadcasts and direct warnings reduce flexibility, making de-escalation more difficult as each actor seeks to avoid appearing weak. The combination of internal unrest, foreign threats, and recent military history has created a volatile environment. Iran's leadership appears determined to project strength externally as a means of maintaining control domestically during a period of unprecedented pressure. For the United States and Israel, deterrence without escalation remains the central challenge. Iran's explicit targeting of bases and allies increases the risks of miscalculation, where even a limited incident could spiral into a much broader conflict. As January 2026 progresses, the Middle East stands at a crossroads. Iran's warning reflects deep mistrust, internal instability, and unresolved conflict. Whether restraint or confrontation prevails will shape regional security and global stability in the months ahead.